Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 37 of Experience Kills. Before I introduce the guys, before I introduce myself, I want to start with some very upsetting news. Over the last few days, Cameron suffered a really horrible loss, and I thought it was important we acknowledge that on the podcast. He was playing Dead Cells the other day, and lost his rag and smashed his own TV. So that sucks. So sorry for Cameron's TV. I know we all felt very deeply when this news came last night. I personally felt, after laughing for a while, I felt really, really bad for him. So yeah, that was, there couldn't be anything worse for a gamer, could there, Rob? Who's with us today?
I don't know, I would probably say having your save game deleted on you is worse.
Than smashing your fancy TV?
Yes, a TV can be replaced.
Yeah.
A save game, that's 40, 50 hours of content.
What about you,
All
Richard?
the choices.
Who's also here with us today?
Smash TV is pretty heartbreaking, isn't it?
It's just the cost of it.
He showed us a picture of it, right? And did you notice the last trophy he got on the screen?
No.
Yeah. It said, "Not so tough," next to the massive damage.
If do you know what? I'll get the picture out of the WhatsApp and I'll put it on the screen for people watching so they understand how bad this was. But the guy's he's literally about to beat the final boss on Dead Cells, and he says an accident happened that smashed the TV. I personally think he raged through the controller through the screen. It's genuinely what I think that's happened. That sounds on plan for Cameron, doesn't it? Let's be honest. So our hearts go out to Cameron's TV. Not so much Cameron, because...
Oh no, mine goes out to Cameron.
Yeah, for other reasons though.
No!
But
Bad
yeah.
words in my mouth.
But no.
You should just say, just for insurance purposes, he probably didn't do it that way.
Oh yeah, no.
He does claim on the insurance. He does not do this sort of thing. He did not do it this way. We promise. Honest.
Can you imagine that, like a claims investigator watching podcasts? I mean, that guy is dedicated. That is dedication to the job. I love that. Right, so the three of us are here today. Thank Christ for this. It's episode 37, but it's a quiet show. Like, we're going to actually just chat about some stuff. After the last few episodes that were just rammed of news and announcements and trailers and demos and E3 and all that. This is a bit more normal. We've got a few news stories. We're going to talk about what we watched at the start, and we're going to talk about some games that we've been playing with a slightly modified Game Pass club, and also then I've had time to actually play some games, which has been nice. So I can't wait to talk about that as well. But I think first of all, we all watched a lot, and I want to touch on something a bit random because I know Richard had this on his show notes, I think, from 2 weeks ago, but we didn't have time because of E3. But I also watched Synchronic, Richard.
Oh, there you go. What do you think of it?
It felt like the kind of film that a slightly up themselves film student would make, thinking they were being very clever to make some sci-fi, and it was actually.
Should we just say what it is? Because it's not that many people will have seen it. I'm guessing.
No, it's not on Netflix. Is it on Netflix? I watched it on Xbox Store, but I don't know if.
Yeah, so did I. I think is it coming to? It might be on Netflix in the States. That's where I'm getting confused.
Right.
Yes, it's not available on Netflix here. So I bought it from the Xbox Store too.
Yeah, it was cheap, so I thought I've heard good things. Yeah. And I was like, so it's Anthony Mackie and some other guy who I don't really know. Double header, quite small production. It's about they're paramedics. There's like a designer drug that comes onto the market that seems to affect people so that they can sort of travel through time. I guess.
Jamie Dornan, isn't it? The other guy, the Irish guy.
I don't know. I didn't know him.
Jamie Dornan from The Fall. Good.
Never seen it. Fair enough.
He's good in that. Okay. Not so much in this.
Well, I thought the performances were fine and stuff, but like, I thought it was going to be far more like creative and interesting, and it ended up just playing it kind of straight down the line, and it didn't surprise me at any point. That's what I'd heard from people that get to when the reveal, and the reveal is all that, and it's like, yeah, but it was super flipping obvious. I don't know about you, but I wasn't.
It was obvious, but I enjoyed the concept, and the way that they'd stylized it visually was cool. So some
of the shots were great. Like the shot that stood out to me was the shot over the two bridges, and this is down New Orleans way. I don't know the name of the bridges, but and the way that they would flip the cameras and they'd be shooting up at space, and then kind of like did create a sense of a trip, like you were, on drugs and stuff throughout.
It was quite trippy. Yeah,
quite clever.
Just where you see different eras merge in one shot.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have portions of forest in someone's living room, and all of that stuff was great. I thought that worked really well.
Special effects were good, weren't they?
Yeah.
But the actual bit, the third act, and it just didn't really hang together at the end, and then the slightly ambiguous ending. And I'm like, well, I think you're trying to imply more than you feel like maybe the audience cares more than they actually do at that point to have a connection to that ending. And I don't know. I was a bit disappointed. I was expecting something a bit more groundbreaking from what I'd heard about it, and like trying something new, but it ended up being fairly staid. And I don't know.
Maybe you'd heard too much, because I went into it pretty blind, and I was impressed by it actually.
Well, it's interesting.
Not expecting a lot, but it's good.
Worth checking out when it comes to a streaming platform soon, which I think it probably will do. So
yeah.
What about you, Rob? What have you been watching? Do you want to talk about the elephant in the room?
I want to talk about Loki, yes, because pre-show Ben made this big thing about he thinks he and I are not going to get on with our opinion about this. Yes, you did. You repeatedly referenced it. So why? What did you think of it?
Now
we're up to episode 3 now, aren't we?
Episode 3 of 6. So this is the middle point of the series. I really like the first 2 episodes due to more than anything Hiddleston Wilson's back and forth. I thought their connection's really strong. I think the problem here is that I don't know the woman playing the variant Loki, or the other variant, as it were. I just didn't connect. I just didn't think those performances were great between them. The writing wasn't great. And the other thing I had an issue with was, now I know there's a lot of fans out there, but man, did this just scream Doctor Who throughout. And I just kind of just got bored of the whole train shit and the like cheap alien world stuff. It just felt cheap, and it felt unoriginal, and it didn't go anywhere, and I was just kind of bored. The revelation about the TVA was cool. I'm glad that they're building that out. That's the bit I'm most interested about, but I just felt no zip. Like, it didn't have that sort of energy that the Hiddleston Wilson stuff had. I just felt it was just kind of dull, and it felt like it was an expositional focused episode purely for the sake of it, and important for them, I guess, to build this out, but yeah, I was just kind of bored. I was checking my phone, and I just felt myself, I wasn't like connected to what was going on the screen like the first 2 episodes. But yeah.
Tell you what, totally independently, and I haven't read anyone else's views on it, and I haven't spoken to you about it, exactly the same feeling for me. And the Doctor Who vibe, 100%. I thought this is a bit close to
I mean,
cheese.
The first 2 episodes were Doctor Who adjacent, but this was straight up like we had adapted.
It was like a Doctor Who episode. Yeah.
It was weird. It felt like it had taken its identity entirely from Doctor Who. Yeah, Which isn't. Some people love Doctor Who. I'm personally very done with it at this point. But yeah, I don't know. Rob, counterpoint.
I don't understand where everyone's getting the analogy to Doctor Who from. I don't see the crossover. The only thing that is the same is time travel. But that's because of the TVA, not because of someone being able to, which is the Doctor's thing. There's no Monster of the Week. That's not a thing. Therefore, the analogy to Doctor Who, I think, is reasonably weak. They're just going, that does time travel, that does time travel. We'll run with it.
I mean, if you want me to argue the reasons I see it, I can, but it'll probably just annoy you.
Possibly, yes. But I would be quite interested because I don't understand.
Well, okay, so for me, the biggest
thing...
thing...
It's the same as going, rugby and football are the same thing because it's on grass and in a field. It's very different sports. That's how I view it.
I think there is some valid areas there to your argument, because like we're talking about geek stuff that we like. It is derivative. There is a lot of the same stuff going on. So is that a fair criticism? I think for me, what it is that Loki throughout this is basically written like a doctor. Like in this episode, it's more than anything. His writing, he is so Matt Smith that it absolutely blows my mind. Like at points in this episode.
This is what's starting to wear me about Loki in its completion, is that we're looking at a Loki that is actually different to the Loki that got pulled through time. So we're looking at a Loki that is clearly written like the Loki in Ragnarok, when really the Loki character that has been brought into this show is post Avengers Assemble, where he's still a colossal dick.
Yeah, but
and he's not
they
being.
sort of
they
covered
dealt with that
that
in
though,
episode 1,
they?
didn't they? Yeah, with his character
did.
development in 5 minutes. Like
Yeah.
I think that's what they tried to do. I don't know if that makes sense, to be honest, but that is what they tried.
That is my biggest problem with the show now, is the fact that he's completely done a 180 on his character and he's become the Ragnarok Loki just now already. And if the sacred timeline has to go back to where it was and he has to be put back to where he came from to make sure there's not a disruption.
Well, no, he doesn't go back, does he? That's not what they do with variants. They will eradicate him, or he'll work for the TVA, as we've just found out. So they don't put him back. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going. I'm looking forward to the multiverse stuff. We've got Ant-Man, Wasp 3, which is all about quantum.
Don't even get me started on that.
I mean, okay,
I thought
they're fine.
Back to my views on the actual episode, because I haven't actually said anything about it yet. I thought it was reasonably competent. It's an exposition episode. It was interesting seeing Asgardian talked for the first time on screen. Having confirmation that Loki is bi is also a huge progressively step forward. Having a main showrunner character be bi, that's huge. And
they just chucked that away, didn't they? They didn't make a thing of it. It was just,
it is, which is exactly how it should be done, rather than a parade about it, for example.
Exactly.
Then you had, I reckon, a growing conspiracy theory that Sylvie is not a Loki.
Yeah.
I think she's Enchantress, not Loki. Because Enchantress does green magic and mind control.
Yeah, that's true.
And what does Sylvie do? So I think we're being led down a garden path.
Well, I think, no, it seems more likely to me that she is Enchantress. This isn't going to be the end of what we see of her, but her origin is as a Loki variant. I don't think they're going to they would just make the whole character even less interesting, and nobody would give a shit if she wasn't a Loki variant. But no, they can still then keep her around as Enchantress, which I think would be great, because that is a cool character. I hadn't thought about that power set. 100% that's Enchantress, isn't it? Yeah, so if that isn't, I'd be very surprised.
It was refreshing seeing how powerful Loki is for a change as well, because you rarely see him do strength-related power. He's all about the mind games power. But when they were going through the city at the end and that building was falling and he just went, no, and it just flew back upward, it was refreshing seeing him be powerful again, rather than just tricksy.
I would say I'm looking forward to seeing how they get out of it, but the likelihood is that Owen Wilson is going to show up and go, I've saved you, isn't it? I mean,
he'll MacGuffin his way out of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that does 100%. Seem like what's going to happen. But I thought the continuous failing was an interesting concept for the show. Like, they kept not succeeding at their goals and their plans.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of different. But, the kind of just the bumbling through it all felt a bit... That was another thing that felt Whovian. But, like, look... I'm going to keep going. It's just this weird Marvel thing where you've only got 6 episodes. Pacing seems like a real problem for some of these shows. Considering how long each episode is. How is it takes so long to do stuff? It's almost a Netflix problem all over again, man. It was like those Daredevil bloody shows that it'd be like 4 episodes and nothing would happen. It's not quite as bad as that, don't get me wrong. But, God... Try to go back to watch them now. I mean, no, it's not possible. But no, I'm excited to see what happens. I'm enjoying the build to the whole multiverse concepts. I mean, look, I'm ragging on Who. I'm saying it's sort of like Who, but Who is like one of the most popular geek shows on the planet. So I mean, you can't really blame them for taking it. I mean, I agree, Rob, but like they're clearly inspired, in my opinion. And Richard sees it, but Rob doesn't. But that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't see it. It would be an interesting debate to have for us off camera, because I would be interested in...
I'm going to do a segue here. So characters that are introduced as villains, as we're getting with Sylvie, who's probably going to become a protagonist that helps everybody out, and it's sort of like a bit of a frenemy, is a big mainstay in a film I watched in the last few days. I went to see Fast 9, and I'm finally back in the cinema for the first time since Tenet of last year, which I was so happy about. Oh my God, so happy to be back in the cinema. And yeah, the Fast and the Furious series is interesting. I've learned over the last few weeks that it's really kind of divides people. You either have the big fans people that absolutely hate it or have never engaged with it, or like people that are just like, oh, I'm at the cinema. I think they must make a lot of money off of just people that are at the cinema and be like, oh, fancy a film? Yeah, all right, we'll watch a film. What's on? Oh, Fast and Furious. Yeah, I've heard of that vaguely. We'll go and sit down and watch that. Which is kind of that indifferent cinema goer. Whereas actually the Fast universe is at that point where the lore and the characters are about as complex as the Marvel movies. Like, there is so much going on and backstory that it's that kind of thing where if you haven't connected from the beginning, you have a lot less understanding and enjoyment from the latter ones. However, it's not seen in the same way, so it kind of gets this weird reaction from people, right? So Fast 9, we're now Justin Lin's returned. This is the beginning of the final trilogy of the Fast saga, if you like. They're going to do 2 more films. And in many ways, this does feel like a setup movie, which is reintroducing characters, introducing new characters, introducing new threats, introducing new situations and dynamics. And yes, I'm gonna say this, that, you know, we've seen it in the trailers. They do go to space. That is correct. They do go to space. But what I found so wonderful about that whole concept was they know. Though they are very aware of how stupid, ridiculous, and unbelievable the concept of people going to space in this universe is, and they lean into it 100%. There is a running joke throughout this movie where the 2 characters that do end up actually going to space basically acknowledge the fact that they are invincible and are superheroes, and somehow this shit keeps happening to them, that they haven't died, and that it's just going to continue going crazy because I think they basically know they're in a movie. And it's really, really freaking weird, but like, yeah, go for it, guys. At this point, you know how crazy this shit is. Just go for it. And they're not the main characters. They're part of the ensemble. So the main guys, you know, at the core, Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, those guys are doing the serious family shit, and you know, but these guys on the periphery, they're not going to space. They're kind of just like, I think we're in a simulation. You know, this is like those VR guys are talking about, because we should be dead. Is this a video game? Like, are we like the player character? It's that kind of awareness, and I think that's probably the right way to take it, because it makes no sense. Yeah. Like, and by the way, they go into space in a car. I just want to make it clear, they're in a car in space, and there's a bit when they show up at the ISS, and the ISS astronauts are like, What is this? Like, nobody.
That sounds fun.
Do they die on re-entry?
No. Well, they go to the ISS. They don't re-enter in the car. They would die if they. That's the best bit, right? What was their re-entry?
Don't be silly.
They don't have a re-entry plan.
Sorry, did I lose my grip on reality for a minute there? Was I a bit foolish?
Crazy, mate. What are you talking about? But no, there's a lot. The other stuff. John Cena's now in this one. He's introduced as Dom's sort of long forgotten lost brother.
Because Vin Diesel was a bullying dickhead toward The Rock.
Well, yeah. There's been some reports that he did definitely. How should we say, employed tough love on the set of Fast 5 to get.
No, he was a bully.
Are you only going by what I've told you, Rob?
Yes, I'm using the facts that you said.
Yeah, but the fact is that he's more than just an actor; he's a producer and stuff. So he's trying to get the performances out of people, and different you know, people in charge of films use different methods for that. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. For example, Joss Whedon. We don't love him anymore due to the way he is, for example, on film sets. And if he was like that, then yes, you can't forgive that. That is too much. But there's a lot of alpha shit going on there, as you can imagine. Oh, I can't imagine those sets are fun places to be. It's just lots of posturing bollocks, I'm sure. But at the same time, I do love these movies. I'm looking forward to see where Justin Lin takes this. My actual assessment of this one is sits somewhere in the middle for me. It's definitely not the best. It's definitely not the worst of the series. It did feel very much like a part 1 of a new sort of story arc. So yeah, for that reason, it didn't hang together as well as some of them. There is a very, very entertaining set piece at the end, the couple throughout. And yeah, they do a good job with Cena and actually kind of like setting up that brothers thing, and like they do flashback stuff so you understand why he's not been around and how they retcon it well. It was like reading a comic. You can tell Vin Diesel's a big nerd and reads all that shit, because it did feel like the retcons you'd read in a comic book, where it's like they fit in this lore that's hitherto never been mentioned and yet makes sense as to why it's never been mentioned. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed my time in the cinema seeing this. It just felt great to be watching a movie again with people. Like when I went to see Tenet, it was so empty in that cinema. There was no one there in this big screening. In this one, it was a smaller screening, about half full. it's just that communal experience of sitting down in the dark and watching a film. I can't wait. I've got my Black Widow tickets bought, ready. I cannot wait. That's another like week or so is all that is, and I can't wait to go back and see
July
that.
7th, I think, for that.
Yeah, it's
July
really
7th,
yeah. I'm going on the 9th, but I'm the Friday. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see that. I saw another trailer for that. That looks like a really good movie. I can't wait to watch that. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, this I am going to get into the Fast and Furious series. I think I've seen the first one, like when it came out, and none of the others. And I've always been a bit snobby about it, but screw that. I'm too old to be snobby about stuff. It just looks a lot of fun. I love the idea that they've announced the final trilogy now. Like, soak it in, guys. There's only 3 more.
Sorry, Rob.
The car goes to space.
Yes, so what? I mean, like, that's not even the maddest thing. They fought a submarine in the previous movie. Like, a submarine. Like, which was firing nukes. Like, that's the craziest thing about this series. You start in that first movie where they're literally trying to knock off a lorry to get some VCRs and TVs. And then you get them in the newest one, you have them going to space, taking on armored military transports. In the previous one, submarines. You know, in the one before that, stealing doing crazy, just progressively insane stuff. And it's...
What's the next one going to be?
It's amazing.
Trying to, like, have a car crash with God?
Well, I can't remember who I was talking to.
The last one.
I was talking to the other day, and it's just like, right, so I was telling them that they'd introduced, you know, through flashbacks, Dom's dad and his brother and stuff. We'll say, well, is the next one going to be time travel? And I sort of went... my mind was going, that would be silly, and then it was like, oh no, hold on.
That'd be too Doctor
No, hold
Who.
on. They could totally do time travel. Like, why not? Do fucking time. They meet some crazy scientist who has a thing, and they do time travel. Why not?
They meet Doctor Strange, it all gets wrapped into the MCU. They could do that.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. But no, I do recommend doing it. Like, sad thing is, if you're going from the beginning, you have to sit through the worst ones at the start. Number 2 is really bad. Number 3 is a lot of fun, very separate. But yeah, 4's not great. But once you get into 5, 6, 7, 8, they're all pretty solid. That's the kind of the new vibe of the series. That's when they establish them more as like a heist crew thing, and it's an ensemble and that. So yeah, 2 is the hardest to get through, I think. But 3 is great in its own way, and yeah, 4's not great either. But yeah. Do it, Richard. I can't do that, and we'll talk about it, and we'll go through them. I love these movies. I love these movies. Anything else anybody wants to mention? Rob, you've got some other stuff on your list.
Yes, I saw the movie. I finished recently the anime series Demon Slayer. I watched the anime movie that came out it came out a while ago, but I watched it on Friday night after my first COVID jab, and yeah, it was really good. I quite enjoyed it. In quite a rare situation, the movie has relevance to both season 1 and is going to be impactful towards season 2, because a lot of the time anime movies, they will be their self-contained little things that just happen and nothing is heard from or seen of them ever again. But no, it's part of the ongoing narrative and part of the continuation. So that's going to be interesting to see how that shapes season 2 and stuff like that moving forward for Demon Slayer. It's really good.
So this is the movie that was like the highest grossing film in Japan ever. Yeah, I saw like a trailer for it, and I have to admit, it meant nothing to me. I didn't know what was going on, but the look of it was stunning. Like, it looks beautiful. So
the look is what got me to watch it in the first place. I've actually owned 2 QWERTY shirts themed around Demon Slayer for about a year and a half, and not known they related to Demon Slayer.
You just bought them because you like the look of them.
Looked cool. It's my one with Pikachu dressed like a samurai and the Squirtle dressed like a samurai. And I had no idea that it was related to Demon Slayer, but it was. That is really enjoyable. Demon Slayer is on Netflix. It's dubbed. The art style is staggeringly beautiful.
Maybe I will go. I always mean to give an anime a try. I always think like, you miss out on so many stories and stuff by cutting out a whole thing. You know, it's not even a genre. It's like a whole form of entertainment. Like people just don't engage with anime, and there's so much out there. And I do think Netflix has done a great job of getting more people into it, because they're doing these Western animes, aren't they, with like Castlevania and the Godzilla ones and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, maybe I should check out some Demon Slayer and stuff. Yeah, that would be cool.
It's not very fan servicey. It's not like, oh look, the female character is super curvy and does all the low cut flirty shit.
You're making it sound less interesting to me now, but
oh, there are plenty of those if you'd want to watch that instead. Demon Slayer is all about the story of the characters, and it's just really, really well done, and the action is amazing. So yeah.
Anything you've still got some on your list as well, Richard, but anything you wanted to touch upon before we move on to news?
All that I do quickly. Black Summer on Netflix, zombie show. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's on season 2 now.
It's a good one. I've heard isn't this the one that's like the prequel to Z Nation?
Well, sort of, yeah. It's supposed to be in the same universe, but it has nothing to do with it. And I haven't seen Z Nation, but I think it's supposed to be kind of funny, isn't it?
Yeah, this is played for laughs. Yeah, Z Nation. Yeah,
this really is not. It's the bleakest show I've ever seen in my life. So stuff like Game of Thrones. It's like, oh my god, who's gonna die? And that's kind of the draw, isn't it? You want to see who doesn't make it to the next episode. This one just tells you straight off, this guy's dead. He's a zombie now. Look, watch out for him when he was alive in the next episode. But we're telling you now, he does die. So everyone that it introduces, it's like it makes sure that you don't have any hope for them whatsoever, because it's never going to work out for anybody in this show.
Well, that sounds fun.
I mean, I'm going to say that's a choice. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of respect the ballsiness of it, but at the same time, yes, like Rob said, it sounds fucking miserable.
Yeah, it really is. But there's something freeing about it, and you care about their journey more because you know it's their final moments. Does that make sense?
Well, that's zombie fiction, isn't it? Zombie fiction in general deals with the end of the world, right? So you know it's coming, it's inevitable. Nobody can survive for the entirety of it, right? Everybody's going to die.
Yeah.
So there is something very freeing about that, isn't there? And the storytelling that provides, and there is an escapism to that kind of bleak openness to the fact that the inevitable is happening. So you might as well just get on with it.
And some people do get through it, but it's kind of someone lived, and it's nice. It's a nice surprise when someone doesn't just have a miserable end.
I really
recommend it.
Like surprise takes where obviously like Dave is going to die, but Dave gets into this position where it's almost certain he's going to die. He manages to get out of it, and you think, oh, how does this happen then? He was dead. Oh no, he died immediately then. Shit. Do they do those sorts of double takes, or is it all just, oh no, he screwed up, he made stupid choices, he's dead now?
It does. The final episode has something where you think, surely no, he's not gonna make it, and it just goes on for so long. It's this single shot chase thing, and you just think there's no way he's going to get through. And it does keep you on the edge of your seat, thinking he survived for too long. He should have been dead long ago. What's going on? It kind of it turns that whole thing on its head about is someone going to die? No, it's are they going to live? And it really keeps you rooting for them, just to see how long they last. It's a really good show.
Yeah, I'm kind of back on zombies again after the Army of the Dead, so I'm thinking of that. Sounds like I might check that out. Sounds better than Army of the Dead. Put it that way.
Since you're back at the cinema as well, Ben, make sure you go and see Nobody.
I'm not sure I've even heard of what this is. Go on.
It's kind of a riff on John Wick. So imagine if John Wick
that one was Bob Odenkirk. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So he's like a family man. His family don't really respect him. It starts off with his house being broken into, and he lets the burglars go, and his family think he's a bit of a wimp. Turns out he's not. He's hiding a secret past, and he gets pulled back into it in John Wick style. And it's just glorious.
Isn't it with that guy who just looks like the total never going to be an action hero type person ever, who's like usually the kind of the whiny boss character in American sitcoms? Him. Yes, I know the movie you're talking about. Yeah. That actually does look quite fun.
Oh my god, how designed for this is it as like the 40-something white guy fantasy. Yes, we look boring and dirty, but secretly we're all fucking badass.
I guarantee the entire right staff are all middle-aged white guys.
Watch out for me.
Lives at home.
I do sound like I'd enjoy that. I might be a wait for home job, but it does. Yes, that does sound like a laugh. Yeah, definitely. Shall we move on to the news? We don't have too much today. I'm quite excited about not having too much news after the last few of these. So. I've not dished them out like I have done in the past when we've got lots, so I'm just going to rattle through them. Feel free to jump in, guys, though. But I don't think there's anything huge here. But xCloud has been upgraded and is now Series X level console/blades have been put into the server racks, so that means you'll get that boost in load times and stuff like that when you're using xCloud. That's pretty cool, isn't it? That they've done that.
It's really good. Yeah. Really good for people on old consoles, because xCloud is coming to consoles, isn't it, soon? So you don't even have to buy a Series X to play Series X games now.
So I think that's the thing worth touching on, Richard. Obviously, you weren't with us last week, but basically, yeah. So this is getting ready for Flight Sim, so you can play it on your Xbox One, isn't it? So that and games of that ilk that are coming out for Series S/X exclusive, but you'll be able to use xCloud to play them. And I mean, we were talking about when's that all going to be in place. Rob, it seems to me like it's actually going to be ready, isn't it?
Well, I was going to bring that up. Last week you were saying a lot, when is this rolling out? Flight Sim's coming out soon. Is it going to be for release? Is it going to be for later? Is it going to be like 6 weeks afterwards? Or when are they going to have the time to do this? Clearly the answer to that question is now. So, yeah, good on them.
They ain't wasting any time, are they? It's. No. I can't wait. I think that dream for me, I've always talked about, Richard, the xCloud being on the console, buy a game, play it straight away while it's downloading. It's going to be there, isn't it? Very soon we're going to have that, and that's flipping awesome. I can't wait for this. And I just think, being able to play these games at that, these enhanced games on your old hardware, on your TV, as it's going to be very soon as well, launched into TVs as they are released. And I'm thinking about buying a new TV. Don't tell my wife.
I think she's going to know when she listens.
Damn it! Yeah, she does watch the podcast. God damn it. But yeah, this is cool, man. We talk about it a lot already, so we'll talk about it a lot more as it comes up, I'm sure.
I'm wondering whether, in their plan moving forward, they're going to move away from home console ownership entirely. You just basically buy a network entry point, and there's no actual graphics gubbins inside the machine at all. It's just a way to connect to Xbox Live. Then you stream your game that's already installed on Series X blades with 500 terabytes of storage or whatever, and you just don't own games anymore. You just play them. You don't even download them. You literally just go, I want to play the new Call of Duty. Bam, playing.
100%. I think that's definitely going to be an option. I don't think they'll get rid of consoles, but I think you will absolutely be able to walk into a Tesco's, buy an Xbox One controller that comes with a free streaming hub, like a little puck that you plug into your HDMI, and there's your Xbox. That is absolutely going to happen before the end of the year.
It won't replace consoles, though.
No.
But that rumour is inevitable, and they've already addressed it to say that they're investing heavily in the next generation of consoles now.
It may be not the next gen, but gen after next, we don't know.
Yeah, if everybody has the good enough internet, is what it's all about, isn't it? If they can say, they can look at the metrics and be, everybody's on at least 50 or 60 down, at least 10, 15 up. At that point, you can reliably not worry about a console, maybe, but. And beyond that speed,
there will still be some that want it
as well. Yeah, I think there will be.
It's like vinyl, Some people will just want to have the real thing.
Absolutely. Did you guys follow the Windows 11 stuff? I mean, I know I posted a link to it, but I was wondering how interested are you guys about this?
I know Teams is now built in, and it makes me sad.
Why does that make you sad?
Microsoft Teams.
Not like Teams.
Awful. I have a strong dislike for Teams for reasons I probably shouldn't go into on the podcast. But yeah, there are much better solutions out there that are better optimized.
Show me on this diagram. Where did Teams touch you, Rob? Where did it touch you? Oh, fair enough.
My brain.
Fair enough. No, but I mean, this seems weird to me, this whole Windows 11 thing, right? So the stuff that they've actually come out with and announced, it's not exactly, it doesn't scream numbered iteration to me. It just feels like...
No, I know.
It just feels like
the big news for me was... Yeah, the big news for me was you've got different templates now for splitting your screen. And that's brilliant. I've wanted that for a long time. But is it a new OS feature? I'm not sure.
I mean, very little of this. I mean, they're going to have Game Pass baked in. They're going to be bringing sort of HDR and direct storage enhancements and stuff for games and stuff. So they're going to basically make games run better, quicker, easier. I mean, let's be honest. That Game Pass app, the Xbox app on PC, is not great. It's kind of like a Epic Games store looks better than this thing most of the time. It does certain things okay, but then when it comes to actually managing, say, DLC and stuff, it's an absolute shit show. So bringing that all together at like a OS level, tying that all into the experience from a gaming perspective is great. But a lot of the other stuff, a new look taskbar and start menu and.
I forget it's in the middle now. It's more like Apple.
But only if you want it to be, because you can set it to be back where it's always been if you want.
Thank God.
I mean, it doesn't even, like, it's completely unnecessary, isn't it? Like, why have you made these changes? But it's so strange, because I'm sure when they said 10 came out, it was like, they're not doing any more. This is it now. And now, it's not been that long, and they're doing more.
In a good few years.
It's what, 4 years, 5 years? It's not been
6, I reckon.
You reckon? I don't know. But
it's not 6. I reckon 4 or 5.
From a game perspective, as we're trying to, keep it on that, yeah, the features are nice. 6 years it has been. Wow.
Came out on July the 29th, 2015.
Wow. That is
no way.
That is crazy.
That is what Google has told me.
Fair dues. That is quite a long time.
Wild guess for me, so sweet, I was right.
Well, the IT guy probably should know that, so well done. But Rob, so as the IT guy, are you looking at this and are you excited by 11 or are you dreading 11?
No.
Like, what's the vibe?
I'm completely nonplussed.
Yeah, fair. It's like there was so little in it. I watched the whole thing and I was like, wow, there's just nothing here.
There are some concerns I have in a professional capacity that I shouldn't mention on this podcast.
Yeah.
But otherwise, myself, it's going to have very little to no impact on me until I choose to upgrade my PC, which is going to be at a middling point in the future. And yeah, I have some significantly techier friends who are much more invested in finding out what's going on under the hood and that sort of thing than I am with this. This just sounds like another iteration that when it launches is going to be full of bugs as per usual. We'll get a couple of revised editions 3 months down the line.
I was quite looking forward to 10. 10 made some real good movements over 8 and stuff like that. So I thought I was in the beta for that and I got it early and stuff and I really like 10. I'm not going to do that with 11. I'll wait till it decides that I'm ready for an upgrade on this or forces it on me. Which, by the sounds of things, their release schedule this won't be till at least the middle of next year. So yeah, I'm in no rush.
That's because you're happy with 10 though.
Exactly.
Right?
It's
absolutely
different. No rush. Yeah.
Most people were quite happy and looking forward to getting rid of 8. So that's the difference.
That is the difference. So yeah, that's why it's like, why, guys? Just call it Windows, get rid of the number, give us updates. Why do a numbered thing? Strange. Anyway, let's move on to our usual segment, which is what awesome shit is coming into Game Pass soon. Because
there's a jingle.
Yeah, we do, and I think we really should get paid to talk about Game Pass because we talk about it every single podcast. So we just had Hot Pursuit, the remake of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit has landed as part of the EA Play / Game Pass connection for the Ultimate members and stuff like that, and that is a remake of probably the best modern Need for Speed game. So I do recommend checking that out if you like a bit of a racing game, and that was kind of the big one from this list. I was really excited because Iron Harvest has joined Game Pass, Rob. So I got it. I played some on that free weekend it did on Steam. Didn't buy it, and now it's on Game Pass. I'm like, well, that was fortuitous for a change. I had not purchased the game that then I didn't play and then showed up in Game Pass, which I could have had for free. So it normally works the other way around. So I'm quite happy about that. But I've got that downloaded, ready to put some more time into that because I do love good RTS. What really blew me away, that's now in Game Pass. It's only on PC though, sadly, Richard. But it's a game called Prodeus, which is in game preview, so it's not finished. And it's basically a fast-paced first-person shooter a la original Doom. So it's got that pixel style, old-school graphics, but very modern level design and loads of gore, and then lots of fun weapons with alt fires and really interesting enemies and stuff. And I've had a blast playing that. I got proper hooked into it and ended up doing a good 3-4 missions of it and stuff, really going into it. And it's really, really well made. It feels fantastic on PC, so I recommend checking that one out. And then what else have we got? We got Gang Beasts joining, and I think that's on Xbox as well. If you've never played Gang Beasts, what have you been doing? Brilliant party game.
I never have. The number of times I've nearly bought that in a sale. Most recently, I think 2 weeks ago, but I never have. So good.
If you have your family together, Richard, or your mates, but if you had a drink or 3 or 10, it is the perfect game for a bit of couch adversarial bashing about. It is awesome fun. I love Gang Beasts.
I wish I had mates.
Rob doesn't agree. Rob doesn't like Gang Beasts.
I don't at all, no.
Okay.
It's a fun party game for those who enjoy it. I do not, therefore it's not for me. I've tried it, I have it, I've bought it on Steam. I do not enjoy it in the slightest.
Then we've got Banjo and Kazooie coming to Game Pass, which sort of surprises me that it wasn't already on it, but that's part of the rare
every
replay.
Banjo and Kazooie was.
Okay, via the cloud, it says here. This is the confusing thing sometimes about the Game Pass news. Some of these games are cloud, some are PC, some are console, some are all of them. This is a cloud one for that. Bug Fables is joining the service, which is on console, on PC, and cloud. And I've heard good things about Bug Fables. Couldn't say I know a lot about it, but I've seen a fair bit of hype around this one. Another sort of strategy game, it's like a 4X game that's joining, is Immortal Realms Vampire Wars, which is all about these vampire factions, but it's like a tactical 4X, think Civ style hex thing. That looks quite interesting. I did consider buying that because I love me a 4X game, but it was like they were asking like 40 odd quid for this game I'd never heard of, and I was like, not sure that's 40 quid, but no, it's not, because it's coming to Game Pass, so I'm happy about that. And I'm just looking through this. Worms Rumble has already launched, and they're talking about that. And then games leaving. There's some good games on this list that are leaving on the 30th, which is very soon. Battle Chasers Night War, which I reviewed like a million years ago, but it's a really nice mixture of Western-style RPG elements. So you got like a 2D brawler action game, but it also, as you move around the overmap, but then it goes into sort of like turn-based combat with some really nice art style in there, which is really good. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, kind of regarded as one of the worst ever Marvel vs. Capcom games, so probably not much of a loss.
No one's crying that's gone.
Mistover. I don't even know what Mistover is. Anyone? No, don't remember that one.
Never heard of it.
Monster Hunter World is leaving Game Pass.
Oh.
So that's a huge title that obviously if you didn't buy and spent a lot of time on and invested in, buy it now, or you might lose all your progress, or just play some more and then wave goodbye.
Pretty cheap, isn't it? You can get the DLC thing, the expansion with the original game packaged in. Pretty cheap.
I never played Iceborne. I've heard it's really good, actually. Out of the Park Baseball 21. Why do we need Out of the Park Baseball 21? Because we now have MLB The Show. So I guess that's probably got a lot to do with they're not keeping that on Game Pass. Big one here. Outer Wilds is leaving Game Pass. So if you have not played arguably the best game of 2019, get around to playing that on Game Pass before it leaves, or it's not an expensive game, buy it. It is one of the most creative things you will ever see in game form. It's genuinely insane game, insanely good. Yeah. So check out Outer Wilds if you haven't already. You've got a couple of days left on Game Pass, and then I just buy it personally. It's the kind of game you should have in your library, because it does stuff that no other game has done before, and it is very, 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 very good, and deserves all the plaudits it gets. Soul Calibur 6, it's a pretty good Soul Calibur. That's leaving. So if you like a Soul Calibur, yeah. And then The Messenger, which was never on console, but is a fantastically good kind of hardcore 2D action platformer, which is available on the PC side of Game Pass, and it's very, very, very good. If you like,
you sure that's not on console?
I might be wrong. Is it on console?
I think I've played it briefly.
Okay. I remember. I think when it first came out, it was only PC. Maybe it came to console later. I don't. remember.
Maybe.
But yeah, quite a lot leaving. We've had obviously a lot joining recently. Yeah, it's the nature of it. Like, and I think in the last few of these, leaving they've started to stand out a bit more as big titles, because they're obviously moving in new stuff that's big, and we're getting so much at launch now, straight away day one, that they kind of
stuff that won't leave, isn't it? You'll start to see a trend of it being Microsoft owned titles that will just stay there forever.
Well, that's what they've said, isn't it?
A massive publicity drive at the moment for 6 Epic Games 6 months.
Yeah.
That's their big tagline currently in like all their advertising media on YouTube, stuff like that. They're really leaning into their exclusives.
Yep, 100%. And I mean, that's going to be the strength. I think that they're going to want to have the ones that are coming in. They're going to be forging like more permanent ties with. I suspect some of these older deals were probably quite transitory, short term, less commitment. And I get the impression as they build this service, it's going to be a lot more aiming towards exclusivity. And this is here and it's nowhere else. So I think that's
the whole Netflix thing, isn't it? This is like the Netflix of games, and that's exactly what they did. They started out licensing all of their shows and movies, and they thought, hang on, if we make this, we can just keep it. and that's what they do.
I wonder who's. I'd love to know when all this is said and done, 10 years from now, the story of Game Pass, who came up with this idea, how it was built behind the scenes, how this this industry shift was created. I'd love to read the inside story of that. I do hope that comes out one day, because it's a fascinating business shift. It literally is, like Richard just said, somebody went, yeah, we should do Netflix. And then they got that across. They must have been a hard. I can't imagine that being an easy thing to convince. The execs on. So it's such a change in the market. So no, it's great that it's doing so well.
Well, particularly when it's built up over a time when Microsoft have killed off a lot of their consumer services, hasn't it?
Yep. A lot of their sub stuff has just, they've binned it, haven't they? Yeah, anything like that has gone out the window except this. So. Very cool. Next bit of news. In a world in which we now have a Left 4 Dead style game for every genre, for every IP going, we have another one to talk about that I'm quite looking forward to. And it comes out in August, and it's the newly slightly renamed Aliens Fireteam Elite. For some reason, they needed to add Elite to the title. I'm not really sure exactly why they added that on there.
So it's not Aliens Fireteam's Rookies? Or Aliens Fireteam's Professionals?
When they've seen me play, they would think Rookies, I think. But that's fine. I'll be Elite. I'm cool. But yeah, this is coming in August, which is not that far away at all. And it is now added, because they went quiet. There wasn't a lot of talk about this over E3, and I guess because they maybe looked at all the other Left 4 Dead style games, we're like, you know what? Let's just
be quiet.
Let's just sit that. But it's Aliens. It's me being a Colonial Marine and shooting Xenos. That sounds like so much fun. I am well up for this, and I believe it's not going to be like a full-priced £50 game. I think it's coming out at like a budget price or a AA price. So yeah, I'm well up for this. But man, oh man, it's not that often you see a game like this and it just screams Game Pass, doesn't it? Like, you look at this and you go, if this isn't Game Pass day one. But the thing that's against that, of course, is the how tight they're in with Back 4 Blood, and they've already announced that connection, and it's basically the same game. So
this won't come to Game Pass for a while.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it's going to be a while, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks more fun than Back 4 Blood because it's an interesting franchise. It's not just the same over again, which is my biggest issue with Back 4 Blood.
I'm really looking forward to Back 4 Blood because of the pedigree. But you're right. I am kind of more interested in this IP. There's 4 campaigns, it says here, new storylines, going to introduce new types of aliens. It's set 23 years after the original Alien trilogy. So it's not just, they're not just doing, here's some maps, here's some aliens, shoot. They are actually trying to build out the universe, and therefore I am quite interested in that universe. So
and it's not just zombies again, but in a different name, because that's all that Back 4 Blood is. It is that they're infected or whatever instead of zombies, which is the easiest palette swap in the world. So this being Xenos is great.
That said, although Aliens is a fantastic franchise, doesn't always, more often than not, it doesn't translate well into great video games, does it?
Mostly makes shit video games. This is true.
That's also why I'm kind of invested, because I want to see how bad it'll be. So I'm invested in the dumpster fire that this game I hope isn't.
I still don't understand. You look back at Aliens, Colonial Marines. It's like, how did Gearbox get that so wrong? Like, it really is. It is mind blowing that you can take a property that's so kind of obvious how you could do that well and just fuck it in the ass. And it's just like,
not even that, just shit on it.
The only thing I remember that they got right with that was the sound effects of the pulse rifle. Like, it sounded like the pulse rifle. Everything else about that game was terrible, but I remember playing it and firing the pulse rifle going, oh yeah baby, that's what a pulse rifle is. And that I like that, because the pulse rifle was iconic. However, the rest of it was just, I think that one thing that is often a problem, and has come up time and again, you look at why Alien Isolation is so good, is that they understand the fear and the threat of just one Xeno, and often it is greatly diminished when you bring in multiples, and it becomes just like any other shooter, and that's obviously the worry with this. Like, the trailer looks pretty good and it looks dark and atmospheric and stuff, but if you're just dealing with hundreds of aliens a la Jim Cameron's sequel, you lose so much of what makes Alien that it ends up just being generic sci-fi whatever. But I don't know. I want it to be good. I think it sounds like a lot of fun, and it could be that kind of Left 4 Dead style shooter that surprises us like World War Z did. You know, that really was very, very good and a big surprise. And I wonder, will it do enough fresh and new?
Personally, I think you should prepare for the former.
Yeah, probably.
Generic alien sci-fi.
It's also,
shit.
if you read into the whole history of the developer and what they've been through and how it's been like they was nearly cancelled and sold and been owned by two different groups, and it's been passed from pillar to post over the last few years, it doesn't exactly spell, you know, good development cycle. So what we are, and it almost screams, you know, get it out the freaking door, we need to recoup some of these costs already. You know, so we're look forward to finding out August 24. What is this gonna look like? So yes,
interesting is the word I'm going to use to describe it.
Somehow this next game keeps getting talked about, even though it's kind of the definition of mediocre from last year, and that's Marvel's Avengers, and it keeps coming up, and often not for good reasons, as we had in the last week or so, which was a bug that only applied to the PlayStation version of the game that came out with the latest update, which meant you could see the player's IP addresses that you were playing with, as well as lots of other unique identifying information. And this was just right there on the screen if you were playing with them.
It required no effort to detect. It was just there.
Oopski!
Yeah.
My bad. How does that get through your QA? Like, did you not run that update through any testing? Like,
this is starting to become a common software pattern, where companies won't test their software. They'll roll it out as a test version or a beta version or in another name and let the audience test it for them. This, however, they could be sued about, because what if I was playing on the PlayStation, someone got into my IP and hacked me? Surely they'd be liable for that.
Well, I think even beyond that, right? Think about how bad this is for those loyal streamers that are stuck with this game. So the update's out. You go stream. You start streaming a game, and there is your IP address for everyone watching your stream to see. And you know what people love to do? Fuck with streamers. So, you know, imagine that situation, and all of a sudden your internet's DDoS, and you know, you've got people knowing exactly where you live and all this, or very close to exactly where you live and all this shit, and you're like, oh, cheers, thanks Marvel's Avengers, you've just made my life a living hell, thank you. So that's they fixed it real quick. Like, don't get me wrong, they got on this, they got it sorted very, very rapidly, because damn if you'd have to, wouldn't you? But like, it's just an ongoing dumpster fire with that game, isn't it? Like it doesn't, almost like Cyberpunk doesn't seem to catch a break. Like, it's just one bad bit after another for those guys.
Yeah.
And they have in good news. This is such like non-news, but you know how like in the last season they made it so in this event you could play all players Iron Mans, all players Hulks, all players whatever, Captain Americas, and not restrict you to one per group, which for some reason was the design choice they made. And they looked at player feedback, and it turns out people really appreciated that. Oh, what? Really? Really? People really liked it?
Allowed to play as the characters they chose to play as?
Wow,
you mean people wanted to do that, Ben?
I think we might have mentioned that at the fucking launch of the game, Rob. That was stupid.
Just once
that you
or
could,
twice.
I think everybody wanted that from day one. But anyway, they've said in an upcoming update they're going to make it possible for everybody to play the characters that they want. Shock. Well, they're listening. That's good to know. It only took about a year.
What, does that make it conditional that your IP address is public?
I understand. Look, you make your creative decisions. I get it. You know, you've balanced the game in a certain way. But you should be putting your players first, shouldn't you? I mean, that's how good games are successful. Put your players first. But
they must be.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say they must be reaching a player count by now where that's already possible anyway.
what,
Single
4
digits.
5 people.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm waiting for like a match to be like streamed or something where it's just 6 Iron Man or 6 Iron Men all just unibeaming the same target and it just dies.
Well, that's exactly what you got from that event, and it was glorious fun, you know. And it's like, this is what they need to be focusing on, isn't it? They need to be focusing on the fun. If they want to get players back, you need to have enough streamers still exist and enough coverage where people say, and you know what? That new update for Marvel Avengers, man, that is so much fun. You should think about going back and checking it out. You know, it's a really good time. And
while you're there,
that's what
play the DLC.
Oh, look, Black Panther's
cool.
come out as well.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's soon. I mean, that looks quite good actually. But yeah, like we talked about in a previous show, I tried all the Archer stuff and I just didn't care about any of it.
They had 2 Archer characters back to back. It's like, come on, no.
It's a bit much.
Be better.
Finally, moving on to the last news story that we've got. This is, I don't know how you take it. I take this as sad news, personally. And that is that Tencent have now acquired a majority stake in Jaeger. Now you go, who the hell is Jaeger? They're the guys that made Spec Ops The Line. Only like one of the best shooters ever. Though, what have they done since?
Like 15 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, wasn't it? But to be honest, whenever I see Tencent acquires majority in anything, I do feel sad. Like,
why?
But I probably won't get into my feelings, my geopolitical feelings around China's continuous aggressive taking over of the universe. But yeah, it's got a lot to do with that. But also because they don't have the best like track record with what they do with studios and how they manage their acquisitions and the developers that they've got, you know, a lot of sway in, and it's quite disturbing how many they actually do have a huge amount of stake in. Because let's be honest, diversity breeds creativity. Diversity creates, that's where we get interesting IP and stuff. If everything's owned and operated by the same group, it's not going to be good for the gamer, is it? That's kind of the way I see it.
Oh, you say that when it's Chinese, but you're quite happy for Microsoft to do it.
I'm not. Hey, I've never sort of taltalked about that in a Microsoft perspective, and I don't think it's necessarily good either. I mean,
it's suddenly trying to dig himself out of a hole.
No. I mean, it's hard to defend the Chinese shit right now. You only got to see what they're doing with their fucking minorities and stuff. It's terrible. But I don't really want to make this a podcast all about that. But you know, with the Experience Kills Politics podcast coming soon.
What?
Then we can really have an argument. But like, yeah, I don't know, guys. I mean, like the fact is, what was the last thing Jaeger even made? You know, was it like Spec Ops: The Line? If so, what have they been doing for nearly 20 years? I don't know. I love that game. I think it's quite likely that every single creative force on that game is no longer even at Jaeger after this amount of time. But that game is so good. Hands gone up from Rob.
So Jaeger in 2017 made a game called Dreadnought for Microsoft Windows and PlayStation 4.
Yeah, that's the big capital ship combat game. I do remember that. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was all right.
And then 2019 in early access was The Cycle on Microsoft Windows, but I'm not sure if it ever made it out of early access because that's all we have.
Is that about bicycling places?
It's a first-person shooter developed and published by Jaeger. It's a competitive quest shooter, and label it with the cross-genre PvE/VP.
It's out later this year, I think that's coming out, apparently. Spec Ops is not as old as I thought. 9 years old.
Oh, wow, I thought it was a lot older than that, but yeah, okay.
I agreed, it's why I googled it. That's why I happen to have the page up.
It's still 2 generations back, though, isn't it? You're going back to 360 and PS3. Yeah, so.
That's why it feels old. Yeah, it's 360.
But anyway, Tencent continues its desire for cross-media world domination, which is not a huge shock, really. So, yeah. The amount of times you see that name on a film now is kind of mind-blowing as well. When you're watching it, you know, when you're watching a movie at the cinema and it comes up, Tencent Films or whatever at the top, and you're like, wow, okay. So they were invested in that as well. It's all over the place. Okay. Right, should we move on to the Game Pass Club topic? Basically, the games section, right? We're going to talk about a bunch of games because Game Pass Club didn't quite work this week. Me and Rob had some designs on a game to play, which we played. Richard didn't play it. Richard played something else, which I know is on Game Pass as well, which is worth talking about. So really, this is just the section in which we talk about the games we've been playing. And I'm fine with that. So, Rob, did you want to start, though, with Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance?
Yeah. Okay, I'll
us
start
off.
with this one. Think Vermintide, but D&D. That's this game essentially. When I was playing through it, I think I played 4 or 5 hours or so. I did like the first trio of missions. I played as Drizzt Do'Urden, who is a famous D&D character in the narrative. And he was like an assassin-y dual blade type character. Who did you play as, Ben?
I also played as Drizzt, however you say his name. Yeah. Drizzt.
That's unfortunate. I was hoping for some variety.
Yeah, the reason I knew you played that, and I was
because he's cool.
No, I looked at the character selection, and fuck me, the other three were boring as fuck, weren't they? I was just like, I do not want to play as generic dwarf, boring human with hammer, or lady with bow.
Boring archer. Yeah,
like, they all looked so dull. I was just like, I went through it for quite a while. I was looking, I knew which one you were playing as, and I was like, I really should play someone else, but no, they all look really boring. So I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Completely. That's exactly the same. Like when I fired up, I downloaded it. I fired it up, and I was like, well, he looks shit. He looks shit. She looks shit. Cool goth elf with 2 swords. Sign me up. But basically, that was my thought process. And the combat's pretty snappy. It's unforgiving when you start getting higher up the difficulty, I noticed.
Okay, let's talk about combat.
Yes.
Big problem for me in combat. Animation priority. I fucking hate that in an action game. I really, really hate that. Like, I can't roll or block or dodge out of an attack. If I push the light attack button 4 times, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to attack with my light attack 4 times. Doesn't matter what you want to do, you're stuck in that. And it's like, that is just shit. And to start with, however, I did start getting the hang of it, but it was like, you know, put it this way, they patched that out of The Witcher 3 because so many people hated it that much, right? So they actually removed it from the game, or gave you the option to take input as priority over animation. And I think in an action game,
go back to The Witcher 3 on that alone, because that's something I struggled with Geralt.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because when you're dealing with, like in this game, you're dealing with large groups of enemies. If you get stuck in an animation priority to one enemy, which dies after your 3rd hit, and you go through to the 4th and the 5th, you're just swinging in the air at nothing. And then you get hit from behind, and often it's a hit that knocks you down, and then all of a sudden you're being ganked by 4 guys, and you lose half your health bar. And it's like, this is crap. Like, when you first start playing it, and then obviously I got better. I went through that first mission, I started to understand the combat better and how to kite the enemies better and manage them. But that really is not a good first impression. Like, it's just not fun to do at all. So.
No. I quite enjoyed this game, though. It has a lot of the D&D tropes. I have D&D books literally there. You know, I'm a massive D&D fan, and I think big fans of D&D will like this because you gain attributes, you gain fate points or feat points that you can put into raising your strength and constitution and that sort of thing, which all have impact on your stats. You have different gear you can find. You have named locations, named characters that have been featured in supplemental products that you recognise. Drizzt is famously well known in D&D for D&D fans. So I think that is huge. I think it's very competent. I quite enjoyed it. I intend on playing more.
I'm glad it's a Game Pass game because I would be pretty pissed if I'd spent 40 quid on that.
I would agree. I don't think it's a £40 game. I think it's a 20 quid game. You're happy with what you get for 20 quid.
So yeah, let's talk about that. Some of the stuff you mentioned there, the D&D element surprised me. There was as much RPG in there as there was. That was cool. I like that. I like leveling stuff up. That's definitely fun. I thought the way they managed loot was quite weird. Not necessarily bad, but like the fact that you pick up loot throughout a mission, and they're quite lengthy, but you don't actually get it until you get back to the hub, and that's when you're like told what you've got and you can equip it. So you can only equip stuff between the missions. I thought that was interesting. The other mechanic I thought that was really, really interesting actually was the campfire mechanic, right? So as you go through these lengthy missions, you can put a campfire down, which either can give you all your health back and like your stats and stuff, and give you, I think, a checkpoint as well. And if you definitely a checkpoint, because I'll talk about that, definitely a checkpoint. Or you can forgo using the campfire, and instead it increases your chance at higher level drops. So I basically never used it as a checkpoint. That bit me in the arse because I would die and have to go right back to the start of the mission. However, once you knew where you were going in these missions, I would just sprint right through, ignoring all the enemies to get back to where I'd got up to, and then just continue from there. And that was actually quite easy to do. They're not that great at, like, at least in that early missions, they're not that great at, like, hitting you. If you're just running past them, I'd just run around and jump around them and stuff, and then none of them would touch me. And then I would get back. I imagine that works as Drit, because he's all about dexterity. So I imagine that would be a lot more difficult as a slow character.
Invisibility.
Yeah, and you can hit that.
Pop your invis and run past.
That's what I did. That's what I would do, and then get back to where I got up to. But I mean, that's an I don't know if I like that. I mean, it's kind of like Souls inspired, isn't it? It's that strange increasing of difficulty. I don't know if that like connects to a pen and paper mechanic from the D&D stuff that you might know more about, Rob. No, so it's just them coming up with a way of like maximizing loot drops. Yeah, I
thought that was rather cool though. I think I know why they don't let you re-equip in the middle of missions. That's because this game is painfully designed to be played with other people.
So they don't want you
to solo this.
They don't want you saying, hold on. I'm just putting my gear on.
They don't want you min-maxing in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, that is annoying if you're playing co-op.
People getting bored and just going, well, this is fucking annoying. You know, they don't want that. You know, the base, the hub area, that's where you do your min-maxing.
It's kind of one of the things that, talking about group games, it's one of the things that annoys me the most about Destiny playing in multiplayer with randoms, is that you might be doing a strike or whatever, and all of a sudden you just turn around and you see the other guy next to you's got the pause screen up. And you're like, and he's like flicking between guns or something, or putting different builds on, and you're like, just play the fucking game. This isn't fun. And that is true. That waiting for people, especially if you're playing with randoms, is really annoying and frustrating. Yeah. So that does make sense from a mechanic, though. I can understand why people are a bit. I saw a lot of posts on Reddit and stuff. Well, how do I even apply gear? Where's my gear? I'd be getting all these drops, and I can't even get to a menu to put them on. And it's like a lot of people really confused as to how it works. So
what they've done is skip the tutorial, not pay attention, and then bitched about it when it's come back and bitten them in the arse.
I don't remember the tutorial. I did the tutorial, and I don't remember it telling me about that.
It distinctly tells you press this button to go and look at your gear when you first pick up gear.
Yeah, but it does. I don't think it tells you can only do that in the hub. I don't remember that. I remember going into a mission.
Gear in the hub.
Sorry?
That's where you pick up the gear.
But when you're going through a mission and you get the gear drop out of a chest and you pick it up, you'd think you'd be able to apply it, but you can't.
Yeah, that confusion I'd get. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, I remember when I got a cape. I was like, I'm going to put my new cape on, and I hit the button to bring up the menu. There's no menu options. There's like map and quit, and it's kind of, that's all you can do in a mission. And I thought that was, I don't think that was conveyed well, but also, I mean, it takes you 2 seconds to work it out. Yeah.
Get to the stabbing, Ben.
Well, I wasn't playing it in multiplayer. I understand. Yeah, I mean, the stabbing, that, like, sometimes the combat did feel okay. I do have a real problem with the animation priority here, but I think once you get into the swing of it, of how to manage the ads, how to manage the groups, how to prioritize the bigger threat enemies, it is viable, but. Yeah, I still think that moment-to-moment gameplay is. I've not played enough to be completely definitive on my feelings on it, but I don't enjoy it right now. I downloaded it on PC, and I was actually it's a good PC port, and it looks really nice and runs really well. But I've not played it in multiplayer, and I've seen people play it in multiplayer. It has a lot of issues from what I can see from the videos I've seen. It's like it's got like latency issues, so because it's trying to sync everything across all the 4 players or whatever, there's loads of lag and like weird pausing and stuttering I've seen in videos, and it's like, well, that kills the enjoyment of that experience. But
I had one quite fun moment. There's like a mini boss you could find in the first mission, like the goblins at the walls or whatever it's called, I think. It's like a big troll mini boss. It's next to a big ice field where all of these statuses and status effects are actually impactful. I managed to accidentally get the boss to charge onto the ice field, and the boss killed himself. On the ice.
I killed that boss by never jumping down and just hitting him with range attacks.
But the range attack, 5-10 minutes. It's like a sneeze.
Yeah, I know, but I did it for 10 minutes, and then he died.
Oh my god! I got him, like I said, I got him to run onto the ice, and then he just started taking damage over time. I was like, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to try and engage. Yeah, and I just watched him freeze himself to death.
This is the Destiny player cheese ability in my head, you see. If you can, you should. Why do it properly if you can cheese it? But no, I don't know if I'm going to play more. Maybe I don't know. I'd see. I just wanted a bit more snappy combat. A little bit more just freedom to just get in there and mix it up. And I think that animation stuff is a problem for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do another game thing. Richard, tell us about Undertale. So if you're one of the few people on the planet that have not experienced Undertale at this point, because this game has been out a really long. Can you actually, Rob? Well, as you are not too involved with Undertale, can you tell us when it came out originally? Because I am curious. So Richard, yes, you beat it, didn't you?
I did, but it's new to me because I played it on. Well, we're talking about Game Pass. I played it on Game Pass, and it's only been on there a month or so, a couple of months, and I only played it because I thought I wanted some achievements, and I haven't played that yet, and ended up getting so into it, I just finished the game. But it's not what I expected at all. I don't know how I've dodged this, if it's as popular as you say it is. I've heard it mentioned, but I didn't think it was like a big deal. And it starts out fairly unassuming. It's just what looks like a traditional top-down action RPG almost. So random encounters where you'll choose to attack or choose to flee. Numbers flash up and damage comes off. You pick up items along the way and solve puzzles and talk to vendors and stuff like that. It's all pretty much as you'd expect for a little while. And then it starts to sort of split off into other sort of genres, doesn't it? And you, instead of just pressing attack, you've got like these mini games that involve like physical attacks appearing on the screen, and you've got to dodge them, and it's kind of a weird amalgam of action and traditional RPG elements within the combat. And then just the narrative is really, really strange. And you get near the end of the game, and it just morphs into something completely unexpected. I don't really want to spoil it for anyone that hasn't tried it, but it doesn't last very long. It's like 5 hours or something, maybe, before you get to the end of the game. And it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts when you get to the end. You think, what? This is not the game I started playing. And it's all the better for it. It's just a real ride. Have you finished it all?
No. I've touched upon it on a couple of different platforms. I want to say PC and Switch. I want to say it was Switch I played it on, I think. When did it come out, Rob?
So, it actually came out 4 times. The reason why I'm giving this clear delineation between the 4 releases is because each different release has different content in it.
Yes.
So it originally came out on PC on September the 15th, 2015.
God, that's a while.
Okay.
6 years ago.
It followed in August of 2017 on PlayStation. PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita, where it had some unique content to it. Switch release was in September 2018. Again, unique content, exclusive to the Switch. And the Xbox One version was released on the 16th of March this year, 2021, for those watching in the distant realms of the future. So yeah, I quite like the fact they did that with unique content on each platform. I think that's rather nifty.
Yeah, because it's a game that isn't about the looks. It's a very lo-fi visual, isn't it, Richard? It's like very old school,
lo-fi.
very like almost like what do they call, like 1-bit style, isn't it? Like there's hardly anything to it, but it's the writing and the characterization and then the choices and the options you are given as a player, which are surprising, and it's quite touching and funny and odd, and it's certainly a unique experience. But yeah, it was like I said, it was the hot. I remember everybody talking about it like 4 or 5 years ago, and that tracks. Yeah, it's been around, floating around. The developer has done a great job of continuing to monetize this effectively. I wonder if they've ever done anything else. So who? Sorry.
Toby Fox.
Well, well done, Toby. You have made this one game last you 6 years of since release of continued portage that have done well for you, I suspect.
I think he is a single-person developer.
Yeah, I think he is.
It's not a company. It's a dude called Toby.
Well,
props to Tobes.
In terms of what's on the screen, there's not bags of stuff there. Like you say, Ben, it's kind of an 8-bit project. and to the extent that it doesn't even fill the screen, it's proper old school 4:3 ratio, virtually nothing in it. But yeah, it's the writing, the characters. If you haven't got to the end, ultimately the payoff and what it tells you about you is quite disconcerting when you get in it.
Are you going to try and do a pacifist run?
No, I don't think I'll do it again.
Because that's something I remember was a big... Everybody was like, have you done the pacifist run? It's like trying to go through that without killing anyone. And it can be done. So I think that's a curious challenge. I wonder if there's an achievement for it. If there's not, you probably... Well,
I've got all the achievements. There isn't.
That's why Richard isn't going to do it. I thought you might say that.
So, fun fact, Toby Fox is also a composer of music. He was a guest composer for the Pokemon Sword and Shield games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fair dues.
And Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, he was a guest composer on there as well.
He sounds like he's just one of those guys that's too damn creative for his own good.
Yeah.
Too much talent, mate. Share it around.
Really talented.
Share it around, brother. Well done, Toby. Yeah, no, good on you. I'd love to see what the next... I hope he's doing another project. Because, yeah, this has been six years, and then whatever prior to release he's been on this. Clearly a labour of love, but interesting little game.
He's only 29 as well.
Oh, for God's sake.
I know.
It's just annoying, isn't it? God, us old people, we've accomplished so little in our lives.
I'm 29.
Right, I want to touch on a couple of games. One of the games I'm going to talk about first, somehow, so it's right now, everyone, just be aware, summer sales happening everywhere. Right, PlayStation's got one, Nintendo's got one, Steam's got one, GOG's got one, Epic's think they've just done one. Basically, the big Steam summer sale is happening right now, and for £10, I was able to pick up the entirety of Total War Shogun 2 with all the DLC, and I somehow never played this particular historical Total War game, and oh boy, yesterday my day vanished to that. I must have spent a good 4 to 6 hours just playing Total War Shogun 2. I intended just to boot it up, have a quick look. Nope, I am now horribly addicted, which is what always happens to me with these types of games.
Quick look turn into, oh shit, it's dark.
Pretty much. I mean, it's fucking amazing. I can see why this is regarded as the best historical Total War game. It really has the whole package, and I think what works really well actually is that the reason it's so good is that instead of some of the Total War games really, especially historical ones, bewilder you with the vast amounts of unit choices, maybe due to the time frame or whatever. But this is because it's Japan in the feudal era. There's not thousands of different types of units, so you can grasp kind of what you want to make up your armies and make them effective, and then deploy them and understand how they all work, because you're not trying to keep in your head 15 different types of unit. You're only thinking about half a dozen or 10 or something, and it actually makes it a lot more fun to play because you're not just pausing it constantly going, right, well, I need to send these guys over there to do this, and I've got to do this. You're still effectively able to do flanking maneuvers and have these large scale battles, and it looks, I mean, it's quite old now. I think it's best part of 10 years old, but it looks really nice, and all the ultra settings boosted up as high as it goes with the fancy shadows and processing you can do with a modern graphics card and stuff. So it does look really nice, and it runs really well on my rig. And yeah, if you've never come across it, because it's a sequel to one of the early ones, you might have skipped it like I did and stuff. I think it's definitely worth going back and checking this out for a tenner. It's an insanely good value, and it's beautiful. Yeah, go on, Rob.
10 years old.
10 years old.
2011.
Do you know what? It doesn't feel 10 years old. Like, they've done a really good art style job on it, and it looks great and stuff, and it plays really nicely, and it feels like one of the modern ones. I must have been one of the first of the newer vibed ones, and I really like it. I really like it. It's not Medieval 2 good. I would literally kill someone to get a Total War Medieval 3. I would love that so much. However, this is very close to that in its quality.
I reckon you'll get that.
I think that's next, isn't it? Don't you think? It's got to be, hasn't it? The fans have been wanting that for so very long. It has to be the next historical one they do, surely.
I'm still hyped for Warhammer 3. That's my favourite.
Absolutely.
Creative Assembly.
And that's why I'm careful to say historical ones, because the Warhammer games are very good in their own right, but man, they're not almost not like you can compare them I mean, it's like the fantasy
They're
elements
different
go
beasts.
mental. So-
There's a difference between military maneuvers and going, well, I'm just going to throw a flaming storm vortex down over there. Oh, look, everybody died.
Absolutely.
It's a very different set of tactics.
So I've Rob got me to buy Total Warhammer 1 and 2. I've got those, and now I think I'm just going to wait for 3, and I'm going to then get in at 3 ground level with yourself at the same time, and we can like do that together so that I'm not playing catch up, as it were, because that's what there's so much out there for 2 that it's a little bit bewildering. So if I go in at 3, I feel like I can enjoy that a bit more. So I'm definitely.
You might even be able to do a co-op campaign. Perhaps.
Yeah, I'm up for that. That'd be cool. That'd be really good. Who wants to go next? What have we got on here? What have you been? Oh, Richard, you've been playing the new Ratchet and Clank.
I have finished the new Ratchet and Clank, and I've gone back to the old one, and I'm playing through that again.
Okay,
Have
cool.
have either of you guys? Are you? Oh, sorry, you haven't got PlayStation 5 yet, have you?
That was the most
really,
unsubtle brag I've ever heard. Have you guys checked out? Oh no, sorry.
No, I completely forgot.
Sorry, you haven't got PlayStation 5, have you? Oh yeah, sorry, you've not. You're poor, aren't you? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. You shit. You utter shit.
Very sorry.
No,
I
you're
did
not.
genuinely forget. Don't be too jealous because it's not great. It's just there. Yeah, I really like platformers, but it's not. Ratchet and Clank isn't really a platformer. It's kind of a dumbed down shooter.
Yeah.
Have you played the previous one?
Yeah, that's why I like it though, because it's not a bloody just a conventional jump on heads platformer, which bore the tits off me. I've always liked Ratchet and Clank because it is a shooter. Personally, that's what appeals to me about it. But you're the first sort of
it's
negative.
still that.
You don't rate it. I've heard just glowing things from so many people, but
Yeah, but you know why that is, don't you? It's because there's nothing else coming out, and they've all paid 70 quid for it. So of course they're going to say it's good, but it's not great. It's exactly like the old Ratchet and Clank games, which felt kind of old last time we saw them. I think the last one came out 5 years ago, and it hasn't moved on from there. It just looks really nice. Like it's next gen chops. You can't deny them. It just looks beautiful.
I saw a video of that dash and how that dash is rendered. And looks. It's like it looks like an animation. It doesn't look like it's a video game. It looks so clean and sharp and just perfect that it was like, oh, that looks next gen. That dash looks next gen. So it's a weird thing to say, but that really did stand out to me as that wouldn't work on the previous generation. So I'm not crazy, am I?
No, well, I don't think that particular element stood out to me, but across the board, it just looks really incredible. To the point that I was watching cutscenes and I thought, well, they've cheated here. They've just cheated, and I'm a bit disappointed by that. And they've just put some videos in. But they haven't, because you can change costumes, and obviously that changes within the cutscenes as well. And I was like, oh my god, it's actually all real. And you just cannot believe the fidelity that's in there. But on those costumes, that's a weird choice, because you can get there's these collectibles. You can get different suits of armor in parts, and they give you different perks or whatever. But all of them have got these full-on helmets that completely shroud all of the character that they've built, and that's the main draw of the game. Some weird choices. There's quite a lot of bugs in it, jumping through walls, falling through floors.
Oh no.
Had a couple of crashes. It does feel like it's not quite ready.
Oh wow, that's surprising.
And, I was surprised too. But I think the most disappointing thing is that it's just a Ratchet and Clank game, and all of the stuff they talked about using the SSD to warp between different worlds and stuff like that. None of that is in gameplay. None of it.
Really?
So
I thought that was going to be the whole point of it.
No, but none of it is. So it might be impressive on a technical level, but all that stuff you've seen about falling through rifts into space with dragons flying by or whatever, all of that is it's not pre-rendered, it's live, but it's all on rails. You have no interaction with it whatsoever. So you just think, well, it might as well have been a video. What was the point?
That I've never been a fan of Ratchet Clank, but that looked legitimately interesting. That there were these portals that you jumped through, and everything was real time and snappy, and all that. But no, apparently not.
No.
Oh.
So there's nothing in there where you think, like, I would like to warp to another world now and it all changes, like Soul Reaver style. Remember that?
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. It's
disappointed.
exactly like the old games.
That is a bit of a bummer. Yeah, I mean, you look at, like, Medium and stuff, which does that split world stuff, and it changes on the fly and stuff like that, which is the one Xbox Series X exclusive, which is now coming to PS5. But we won't talk about that. But yeah, I'm bummed out there's not much. Tell me, how is Ashley Birch's performance as the other alternative dimension Lombax? Because she's now in every game, so I'm just wondering, does she give a good performance in this one?
She does, yeah, and the cutscenes are pretty good. I enjoyed them, actually. I did enjoy the interactions between the characters, such as they are. They don't really have any impact on the gameplay. So it's got this weird thing where the two different Lombaxes are sort of the same, riff on what Loki's doing. They're the same person, but in different dimensions. And the way that plays out in gameplay is that if you get weapons or upgrade weapons with one, you get exactly the same benefits with the other. And they've got the same moveset, everything. So it kind of feels wasted in a way.
Just a palette swap.
Yeah, exactly. They've got this new character, and it's interesting in cutscenes, but there's nothing beyond that at all.
Sounds like a wasted opportunity, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that's a bummer. Oh man, I was really looking, sort of, when I do finally sort out a PS5, that was on my list. Now it's less on my list.
You should still play it, but don't spend 70 quid on it like I did.
I still can't get over the pricing on PS5.
It's ridiculous.
I really want a digital version, but that is one of the things that every time I nearly buy one, I'm like, yeah, but it's gonna be 70 quid a game. It's like, yeah, that's a lot of money.
You're going to you're going to want something that you'll go back to. I mean, I still haven't played a great deal of Returnal, which I also spent 70 quid on, but that's something that you can return to.
Like a Rob joke.
Ratchet and Clank, not so much. I platinumed it within a week, and I won't play it again.
Your achievement / platinum, your trophy stuff is mind blowing to me. You're so dedicated, Richard. It's incredible. I'm going to touch on a little game before I circle back to Rob for a big one, which has just come out. But I want to mention a little game that I was sent a code for transparency's sake. It's worth mentioning that. It's called Heliborne. And this is a console port of a game that's been out on PC for quite some time now. It's a helicopter game. And I have fond memories of helicopter action games. So remember Desert Strike and all Airwolf and all of that, Richard? Good times back in the day, weren't they? Fun, arcadey action, rockets everywhere, lots of, like, crazy combat. Heliborne, I feel like it has the best intentions, but it's this weird middle ground between an action game, like those Strike games, and then trying to be a sim as well. So it ends up kind of like falling between those two houses and not really achieving either, which is unfortunate because, flying a helicopter around, shooting bad guys is a good time. Now, the problem for me is there's a few things. So the settings of Heliborne are real world. So Vietnam conflict, First Gulf War, stuff like that. So they're trying for that sim historical accuracy, but then the gameplay itself, like flying the helicopter, you're not really taught how to do it, and you're kind of just thrown into this sort of cut down sim control scheme, which is a lot to do with like pitch and yaw and how to move around. It took me quite a while just to work out how to go forwards in the helicopter, put it that way. And how to like go up and down in the helicopter. But they're basic things. And then the other thing that's sort of annoying is that there's a very limited amount of ammunition that you get in each sortie. You can go back to base and get reloads and stuff and have your helicopter magically heal, hence the whole weird tone of this. It's like, is it sim? Is it action? Is it? It doesn't seem to know what it is. It also doesn't look amazing. Not gonna lie. There's quite a lot of fogging to obscure draw distance issues throughout the game. And then the combat itself is a lot of, there's a red icon of troops on the ground. You can't really see them, but just fire rockets at the red thing until the red thing goes away, which is not exactly the most engaging of combat environments. Most of the combat in this as well is air to ground. So you don't actually have a huge amount of air to air combat. The other thing that's really annoying is that, there's quite a lot of annoying things in this game, you might have noticed, is that a lot of the good helicopters are gated behind progression. So you have to play through missions to get like these stars, which you can use to unlock later era of helicopters. So when I wanted to play multiplayer, there were 3 active games on Xbox, and they were all later eras. So I couldn't even play with people because I hadn't ground through enough single player to unlock the helicopters from the later eras, because it wasn't fun. I thought, oh, multiplayer might be a laugh at least, you know, helicopter and helicopter action, maybe do some co-op. I couldn't even do that. It wouldn't even let me do it. I think there's some decent ideas here. It's just janky, and it's not polished, and it's not quite fleshed out, so I couldn't really recommend it. I was intending to do a separate video about this, but I'm not a big fan of just negative videos, because the world is full of negative videos. So I'm talking about it here, and I think if you are in the mood for some helicopter action, you don't exactly have a lot of options on the current platforms. So by default, this is probably one of the better ones. However, it is not the most polished experience. And go in, watch some of the videos online, get an idea of the type of tone of the game here and how it's positioned, and make up your own mind, because I did not have the most fun playing Heliborne. So yes. But now let's move to Rob, where I'm pretty sure he's going to tell me about a game that is fun, which he's been playing.
No, I'm going to tell you everything I've played this week. Because there are other options that I've done that I do talk about. So obviously it's a week that's existed, so of course I've played Destiny. I'm still in very active raiding clan at the moment, so I've been doing lots of raids. I played the Deepstone Crypt raid for the first time all the way through, which is a new experience for me, which was a lot of fun. I highly enjoyed that. Just last night I finished, I play a mobile game called Marvel Strike Force. It's meant for people to sink shit tons of money into, but I choose not to. I finished one of the end game like big dungeons, which got me a lot of loot last night, which I was very happy about. I was lying in bed watching Netflix, and I was tapping through. I managed to get there with my symbiote, so I'd like Anti-Venom and symbiote Spider-Man, which is and Carnage are the guys I was using for that. It was very good fun. Highly enjoy. Nice hero collector game. And then I have been enjoying as well, I bought this yesterday, Mario Golf, which just looks like really nice, cheap fun. And it is. It's regular golf, no crazy golf or anything like that. It's just regular golf with Mario. It's just really fun and really Moorish. And my Switch is sat in front of me, and I want to carry on playing golf, which is never a sentence I thought I'd say.
It's like about golf games, isn't there? It's like about golf games.
There's something about fun golf games.
All right, so what makes this... You just said it was regular golf, so what makes this a fun golf game?
You do have, like, active powers that you charge up over time. There are various different modes that you can play as, or play in, and obviously you have the Nintendo suite of character. There's something a little bit ridiculous about watching Donkey Kong try to putter in, like, with a tiny little putter, trying to putt in a ball, and he's clearly not built for him. It's hilarious. One of the game modes that you can play with is, I think it's called Battle Golf, or like Sprint Golf, something like that, where you all hit your first ball at the same time, your first strike or hit or whatever. As you can tell, I'm really up with the terminology.
A strike.
And you then have to run to your ball. First person to get to their ball gets to go again. And it becomes essentially a race as you sprint around this golf course. So yeah, it's really good fun. And I reckon it's really fun with friends as well, because there's online capabilities, online play. It's getting post-launch support. There are 6 18-hole courses in there, which loads of people are shitting on Nintendo for that. I don't see why. That's a lot of different courses.
Is it all available to begin with as well?
Yeah. I think you have to play through to unlock them, so I'm playing through the first course at the moment.
Right.
A full 18 hole to then try and unlock the next. So it's...
Are they shitting on it because they're anticipating Nintendo MTXing subsequent courses?
I think Nintendo said that their post-launch support will be free. Do not hold me to that, though.
I'd be surprised. They've been doing a lot of season passes lately.
6 courses is pretty good, though.
It's not bad, is it?
You can play.
I don't know how many are in. There's Everybody's Golf was the last game of this ilk that I played on PS4, and I don't know how many courses that's got, because if you want to play multiplayer, you only get one, unless you've played through all of the single player stuff and unlocked it all.
Okay.
But other than that, you just get one course. So, 6 feels pretty generous from the off.
You can play it in 1, 3, 6, 10 whole varieties where you don't have to play the full 18. So it's I think that's perfectly sufficient. I got this game for just under 40 quid from a local supermarket chain. So it's certainly reasonable, what I would call reasonable for a game of this sort. I'm highly enjoying it.
What's the what swing mechanic are they using in this?
Sorry.
For the clubs.
So in golf games, there are various mechanics employed to swing the club. So typically, it might be a button to swing back, a button to land on the hit,
and then
so
sweet spot.
And essentially, you press the button, and then a thing goes up and down a bar.
Yeah.
And then you determine the force, and then you have with the left analog stick, you have control of the spin of the ball. And there's wind conditions and stuff like that as well that influences you, and then that sort of stuff.
The lay of the green.
Indeed.
Ooh, it's par 4. I love a good golf game. All good. I haven't played one in ages. This might scratch that itch. So yeah. I mean, I tried Everybody's Golf and the last Tiger Woods, and they were pretty garbage, to be honest. So I remember
Everybody's Golf is not garbage. What are you talking about?
I didn't like it. I did not get on with that at all. Do you like it, Richard?
It's a good game. They've just gated all the content, which makes it really impossible.
The best golf game of all time is Golf It, because it has custom maps, and some of the modding community for that on Steam are absolutely insane. I've played through Lord of the Rings in Golf It. I've played through the Mines of Moria and played golf around a Balrog. That wins.
Golf around a Balrog. That's pretty good. That's golf around a Balrog. I mean,
you shall not par.
Yes.
It hurts. No, I remember playing.
Wonderful.
I remember playing the original Mario Golf on the original Game Boy as a kid, and absolutely loving that. So I might do. I just 40 quid. Yeah, maybe. I'll see how I feel. And maybe if I go to a supermarket and it's there, and I'm like, oh, go on then. Add it. I'll get it with my potatoes while I'm here.
Just come in for potatoes, but I need golf too.
Yeah, I'm really considering this. Online does sound fun. I like the sound of this crazy battle mode. That sounds mental and the right kind of bonkers. However, I'd have to get a Nintendo Switch Online sub to do it. So there is that. But yeah, cool. Wow.
I could add you to my family pass, mate.
Well, you can't do that. That's like I'm not. No, you get in trouble.
That's I think a conversation to have off a live podcast.
Nintendo have heard that, Richard, and they're coming to your house. Nintendo are going to cancel your ass now. You know that. We'll just get DMC takedown on every single video, even if it's not Nintendo related now. Thanks,
I'm saying
Richard.
I could do that. Not that I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, true. Okay, yeah, very good. Legal speak.
He could, but he's going to deny you such flexibility.
I could, but I won't. Is Bowsette in it, by the way?
I don't know. I've only played as Mario because why the fuck would you not play as Mario?
I don't think Bowsette will be in it. I don't believe that's an official character. That's just horny boys on the internet. So
I know Bowser Jr. is in there. Luigi, Waluigi, Wario. Donkey Kong. I
Wario's
assume
pretty
Diddy Kong.
I would like
Bowser,
to
of course.
I'd like to be Wario because he's just a douchebag. He's great.
It looks ridiculous doing a putt as well. All these massive characters look ridiculous holding this tiny little putter. It's just like,
oh, don't forget, I'd love to. You've got to try it out and tell us about it next time. But try out the motion control swinging with the Joy-Con.
At some point I will. One of my arms is still a
is.
little sore from the COVID vaccine, my first jab, so I will try that at another point.
I just find that inherently like nope, because I used to play golf for real, and the way you hold a club, you're not going to be able to hold a Switch Joy-Con like that. So it's going to be really weird. How would you do it?
I play golf for real as well on crazy golf courses.
No, I mean, yeah, okay,
that's the only proper way to play golf.
That's not golf. Anyway, no, it's not.
Because it's fun.
That's actually, it can't be golf then, can it? I mean, golf is basically exercise for old men. So it's just like that's all it is. It's just I go out for a walk, hit a thing occasionally. That's golf. Right, let's wrap this up then. That's been a really good podcast, guys. We've covered lots. Yeah. We've had a fun time today. It was nice to not feel pressured with 300,000 news articles. So it was nice just to have a chill time there. That was good. I hope you enjoyed it. Everybody's enjoyed listening in. Richard, have you had a nice time today?
I have. It's probably worth coming back. I'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's good to know. Good to know you'll be back. Good one.
Not sooner. You don't want too much of our excitement.
Thrill a minute here on the Experience Kills podcast. So until next time, please give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. Not that I'm doing much on there right now, but feel free to do it anyway. I do appreciate it. Follow me at DIYE on Twitter. You can follow Richard at Colonel Red, and you can find Rob at Homeless Mr. Gibbs. You can find us collectively at Experience Kills. Beyond that, we ask for very little. We do obviously offer this video as a podcast as well, and that can be found anywhere a good podcast can be found. And if you can find it somewhere, or you can't find it somewhere that you get podcasts from, let me know and I'll make that happen. That's the Ben guarantee. Yes, so I think that's everything, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
That's everything. Have a lovely week, guys, and we'll be back next week with another one of these podcasts, episode 38. We are approaching a year of these things, which is incredible. And until then, I say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Adios, amigos.